Hello and welcome to the Lost Art Podcast. I'm Gar and I'm here with Helmet.
How are you?
This week we're tackling something big.
Very big.
Too big.
It was a small idea that turned into something mammoth. We're going to do lost songs. These are songs that were either... There's two ways we're going about this. I picked songs that got lost for whatever reason, like actually lost, and then made a comeback into the public sphere or whatever like that. And we also picked, I think you might especially have picked a couple of songs that just fell through the cracks that should have really...
reasonably important songs for one reason or another.
But you're just unearthing some gems, which is the two types of thing we're doing with lost songs. So songs that actually got physically lost for whatever reason, and then other things that got kind of just lost in the ether. So,
I'm sweating. You're panicking over it.
I am panicking because I don't like the fact that sometimes I'm going to sound like I'm reading off a thing, but there's so much information.
How many pages? Tell them how many pages and notes you've done for this podcast.
I'll take away those ones. I think there's maybe 7 pages for this one alone. Do you know what? I knew a lot about the stories, about the things I'm going to talk about. Yeah. But I wanted to do them justice. Yeah. Because some of these stories are something that I never really properly looked into. Like if I was talking in the pub, I could go, "Oh, did you hear that thing?" But I didn't. But the problem is, I started to read almost too much into them. I didn't realize there was the meat that was involved. So this is going to be. Strap yourselves in, lads. It's going to be a fucking hefty enough one. Before we go into it, I want to say, Searching for Sugar Man is the idea that we're going for. It's not on the podcast. Everybody, I think, knows the movie at this stage, Searching for Sugar Man. A fantastic album or artist that went missing and kind of came back through record collectors and stuff like that.
Yeah, and you got a big boost off that the documentary.
The documentary Searching for Sugar Man,
a couple of years ago, which is actually a great documentary.
It's brilliant. Now, I love this kind of thing, which is why I wanted to do a podcast on it. It's just a big giant pain in the arse. We could have broken this up over. We'll see how we get on anyway. A couple of ones I did find before we go into the choices. Little things like U2. Do you know recently, I think it was only last year, there was 2 U2 songs found on tape from a gig that they did in the Dandelion Market, which is Stephen's Green now, I think, isn't it? Or else it's the Club Dandelion that was there.
That's why the Dandelion Club is called Dandelion,
So one of the bands that were supporting them in 1979...
When they were getting spat on.
Well, no, they were kind of Joy Division-y. Were they getting spat on then?
Yeah, because the Dandelion was mostly used for punk bands.
These songs are a bit punky.
Well, they're raw.
They sound a little bit Joy Division-y. The band they were supporting recorded them and had it on tape. They're called Struders. And the 2 U2 songs that were found are called In Your Hand and Concentration Camp. And they're no use, so don't bother. Yeah. Just a funny enough story I found that was found. Another one that was... very interesting is that there is 150 tapes featuring 700 songs by Tin Lizzy.
Really?
Out there. 700 songs or song sketches or ideas. Over 150 tapes that have been stored for 30 years by a friend of the late Phil Lynott, who kept them until I don't think he wanted to give them, he just didn't want them to see them, thrown out and shitty. But then I think someone put out a box set at that remastered a few years ago. Someone put out a box set of Tin Lizzy stuff. I wasn't really I'm not a massive Tin Lizzy fan. I just found this bit interesting, and when the guy heard this, he goes, okay, maybe this crowd could do this well. So the 700 songs have been handed over, and they are still being worked on.
Wow.
Now I don't know what they're going to find, and the band, the rest of the Tin Lizzy band members, some of them have been involved in ciphering through this.
Interesting.
So I think it was supposed to be this year, it's supposed to be 2017 that we're supposed to get something.
So it's still being worked on.
Yeah, that'll be a good one to have Aaron, and he'd probably know more about that.
I have a little Tin Lizzy story. About 7 years ago, I was in a charity shop, and I was in an Oxfam charity shop, and this would have been just before the big, massive resurgence of people buying records.
Yeah.
And I was rooting around in the charity shop, which I used to do, just look for records. I still do it, but not as much as I used to. I used to do it twice a week. Now maybe once or twice a month. But I found a little 7-inch single case that one of the guys behind the counter had literally just put out that morning. Like, they went into the back. All these charity shops have like a storeroom, and they just every second day, they pull some bullshit out. And there's a 7-inch single case. He dumped it out on the counter, and I went over, popped it open, and I was going through. There was maybe 10 7-inches in there. And it was all, the Knack, My Sharona, the usual shite you find, kind of 70s fucking tat. And there was a little Thin Lizzy 7-inch in there. Now, again, I like Thin Lizzy, but I'm not obsessed with Thin Lizzy. And I picked it up and I put it back in. I was like, fuck, I don't really buy Thin Lizzy stuff. Like, I buy albums just to have them, but I'm not buying singles. And I put it back in. I pulled out 2 or 3, just, Nina 99 Red Balloons. Bullshit for DJing. That's just fun. But about a minute later, I was like, you know what? I said, I've never seen that Thin Lizzy before. And I looked at the back of it and I was like, I don't know any of them songs. I don't know any of them. So I thought to myself, you know what? The guy wanted €1 per 7-inch.
So you offered him 70 cents.
Huh?
You offered him 70
Not even.
cents.
I just, I think I just pulled 3 or 4 out and I said, I'm just going to grab that Thin Lizzy. And what was weird, it was a 7-inch, but it was a gatefold 7-inch. But because I didn't recognise the name of it, and it wasn't Dancing in the Moonlight or Boys and Back in Town, or I thought, this is a little bit
Killer
odd.
on the Loose.
I'll grab it, yeah. It wasn't one of the big singles. I'll grab it for €1, grabbed it, threw it in my backpack. On the bus on the way home, something was in the back of my head, and I said, you know what, I have to have a look online. Pulled my phone out, and I was searching. It was called The New Day. That's what it was called. Thin Lizzy, The New Day EP. And I was rooting around. I couldn't find reference to it anywhere. And then I finally found one in like Sotheby's or something, one of these auction houses in the UK, where somebody had sold a copy of The New Day EP about 10 years previous for about £900. I was like, what the fuck? So I went rooting. And eventually I found out that it was printed here in Ireland. Right. It was actually printed right beside where I bought it. It was printed up on King's Inn Street. There used to be a pressing plant there on the north side of Dublin. And it was recalled. This was supposed to be the EP that they launched Thin Lizzy into the UK with. Right. But while they were pressing them and getting ready to ship them, some song came out. It could have been Boys Are Back in Town. I don't know. One of the big songs hit.
Yeah.
And it just became
that's all
huge.
they needed anyway.
That's all they needed.
Yeah.
But it also turns out that they were recalling, they stopped printing these New Day EPs because there was a spelling mistake on them. Instead of saying Brian Dowling, they said Brian Powling.
Brian Powling.
Exactly. So they're recalling them. So whoever gave this little EP into the charity shop must have worked in the printing plant because it was immaculate. Like, still had like the release agent on the 7-inch. Like, it was taken from the printing plant, put into this case along with a lot of this other bullshit, and just sealed up for fucking like the guts of 50 years. So I sold online for €1,000.
Fuck off.
Yep.
Did you?
€1,000 I got for it on eBay.
Did you not feel like hanging on to that for longer?
No.
You had bills to pay?
No. I paid my deposit on my house. Yeah. So, yeah. Paid my rental deposit with him. Now, there was murder over it because the guy, I sold it as unplayed, which it was.
Oh, I remember this. Yeah. Oh, you had murder over this.
And the guy who bought it off me, he was in a big bidding war with some guy in Japan to buy it. And there was a guy in England who ended up buying it. And when he took it, I got an email off him like a week later saying, this sounds like garbage. I want my money back. And I said, well, I can't give you your money back. Why did he play it? Yeah, exactly. Well, that was my whole thing. I was like, well, I sold you an unplayed record. Like, I fucking been around records long enough to know it's unplayed. It's still statically charged, for fuck's sake, in this little gatefold. I said, well, you're going to be giving me back something different from what I sold you. I sold you an unplayed record, and you just told me that you've listened to it. I don't know what your sound system's like.
If you buy something unplayed, there's always a chance that it might not. It could be a fucked up copy.
Could be gammy. Who knows? You're buying it because it's so rare. You know.
Yeah.
This is absolutely something you fucking stick on a shelf. You know what I mean? You put it behind museum glass and mount it on a wall, and hope to God some fucking idiot one day rips it on the MP3 so you can actually hear it.
Yeah.
Or hope that the songs from the master tape end up in a compilation. But yeah, €1,000. It took me about 6 months to get it off him. But I did get it. To be honest with you, I always have the feeling that his wife or his fella or whatever it was, someone seen a receipt for €1,000 7-inch.
He bought it a little bit drunk, maybe. Something. A bit on that. Yeah, that's technically like a great story about a lost song because you can't get that now. I presume the songs
still hasn't been re-released. No.
Really? Yeah. Wow. Another quick story was the Universal Music Fair. Don't really want to go massively into that because it's not as interesting. I was wanting to do a podcast on it, and then I went, it's not really that much. The Big Four at Universal in 2008, where about maybe 120 to 175,000 original masters were burnt and destroyed. Yeah. Now, they had backups of them all.
Yeah.
They say. There's a lot of them I think they don't because they haven't been pressed on it. They did get...
They would have a lot of stuff digitized. I mean, I know it's not the same as a master tape.
But what happened was they could be sued then.
Yeah.
And they were attempted to, Hole and Soundgarden, amongst a lot of others, attempted to sue them because for not protecting the master tapes. That's basically what you can sue someone for.
Yeah.
So anyway, there is a lot of stuff that if they're pressed on, Universal will not be able to recreate. I don't think. Well, they said it backups everything. I don't know. So we should go into our first one.
Yeah.
The first one is a song called Dirt and Grime by Father's Children from the album Who's Gonna Save the World, which was recorded in 1972 to 73. Now, it was never released, so there's no release date on it. This is a kind of funk band from Washington, D.C.
Yeah.
I heard of them through a sample on a Kanye West song. I was like, that is absolutely fantastic. And it turns out a few years before, it had been rediscovered. So what happened was, Father's Children started out as The Dreams, as a doo-wop band from Washington that turned into a soul funk band in the kind of style of maybe like Earth, Wind and Fire or Sly and the Family Stone. And a lot of them converted to Islam. This was happening around the time that Martin Luther King had been shot. And people were just fucking angry as fuck. So funk was starting to get a little politically charged as well. So that's why Dirt and Grime has a lot of kind of social commentary on it as well.
It's a great name.
Dirt and Grime, it's an absolutely fantastic song. It's kind of a sad story about this album because I reckon this could have put them big time on the map, and we won't know what happens. We won't know what would have happened anyway. What happened was, this was their first album as Father's Children. They recorded it with the producer Robert Hosea Williams. The problem was, after they recorded it, the management company went bankrupt and they couldn't pay the producer. Therefore, he didn't give them the tapes and put them in his garage. He put them in his garage. Then they couldn't do anything about that. So it was actually not till 79 they released their second album, which is actually their first album, if you think about it, because they didn't really release another one. And people weren't into it. It wasn't the same kind of thing. Also, it's coming into the 80s. It's the music's... This is 7 years, nearly 7 years later. It's not the right time to be doing this anyway. So poor old Father's Children, they never made it. So in 2009, a label called the Numero Group acquired and transferred all of the producer Hosea Williams stuff to Chicago. And that was when the album Who's Gonna Save the World was heard for the first time properly in about 35 years. Jesus. And they went, this has to go out now.
Yeah.
This has to go out now. So I think they would have actually had to create the artwork for it. I don't think there was just tapes.
Just tapes, yeah.
Or just master tapes. Yeah. So
maybe there's some photos of the original one.
The picture is one of the dudes from the... now, I struggled to find the proper names of the band. No, I won't say proper names. These are the names of the members, but there's been lineup changes. So, because of the conversion to Islam, the names of the band are Hakeem Abdul Ghani, Khalik Abdul Hanif, Malik Abdul Kabir, Kadir Abdul... It's just a lot of names. Then randomly, just Tony Vaughn just pops in there. Then back to Yahya Abdullah. So they were definitely affected by the things that were happening in America at that time to convert to Islam and change it into change it to kind of like a grittier kind of funk band. So the Numero Group released this. I like this. This has a good kind of ending a little bit. This got really good reviews when it was re-released because they handled it really well. I think the Numero Group did a really good job. It looks great. Like I've seen pictures of it. I didn't buy a copy yet. It's still quite pricey. I think it's still nearly 40 quid.
Really?
Yeah. In 2011, they had a launch party for it, and they invited the band to come and sign stuff for them, so people could actually meet them. Now, before this, they'd only reunited in 2005 for like a year or something like that. But that is kind of a nice little story. So the sample is on the Kanye West song Facts from the Life of Pablo album. So the album got lost for 35 years and came back out, and I'm just glad that they know, at least it must be great to be like, shit, that's people did the reviews, they're getting the reviews for it now, or 2011, that they would have gotten back then. Unfortunately, they don't get the spawns and the career that was gone. Yeah, that's Father's Children. The song the album isn't perfect. It has it's kind of, it's got a lot of flavors on it. It's kind of like it's obviously funky soul, but it has psychedelic stuff and string sections and the odd ballad. It almost plays like a compilation, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
But it's good that it got out there finally. So that was a lost album, and the song Dirt and Grime is arguably the best song on it. I think it's not arguable. I think that's the best song on it. So
you reckon that's the top
one of that? It's just an absolutely phenomenal song. It's just really, really cool. And so that's a song that was lost for 35 years, and thankfully, once everyone was